Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? Welcome to another episode of Buckshot. It's episode 210, I think. I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. It's Friday, anyway. Friday the 10th of December 2021. Or, like that, if you were a Patreon, you would have gotten this. And, you know, with no ads. With no fucking ads. You would have gotten that and the video to today's episode last night. So that's the crack. Live show for the podcast is on the 12th, this Sunday. This Sunday, we're going to do it at 8 o'clock on Sunday. Patreons only. So, I mean, your ticket price, if you're not a Patreon right now, if you want to jump on board and have some serious crack, sit around, have a couple of drinks, not being recorded. You can also hide in the back and not say a word if you want. Leave your camera off, that's no problem. It's $3 here. $3 to become a Patreon. And as well as that, just for the live show for 1 month, if that's all you're doing. I think they're selling 12 months now for the price of 10 months, is a thing that some people have done. Yeah, that's cool. And you get all the videos and ad-free early access content. You know, and things like entry to the live shows. You know, it's good crack. It is very good crack. There's, of course, the merch shop and all the rest of it. Go through the link in my bio on any of the social platforms that you follow me on. Tom Mahoney Comedy would get it. The one live show, stand-up show I was doing, I am doing. I'm not starting out on negative terms. It's sold out. It's in Newry. Sold out on the 28th of December, so that's nice. That's very nice. Nearly a month in advance. Hey, we might even talk about doing another one. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know what the big... It's one of the loveliest little venues. So, it's sold out, so... I know people were messaging going, how do I get it? Because they were selling it direct through McCooey's. Well, there you go. People in the Newey, they fucking know what to do with McCooey. What am I doing myself? We recorded the Tom and Jerry Show Christmas special last night, so that will be out on Monday the 13th. If you're not a subscriber to Tom and Jerry Show, what are you doing with your life? There's a rake of podcasts back there. There's 6 seasons of podcasts back there. Go have a gander. Jerry with a G. Get on board. So we will be recording season 7, most likely over the Christmas period. We'll knock out a few episodes and get it started probably mid-January, I'd say. Just because the Graw was there again last night, so we'll be back on board. There will be a return of the Crack Rugby podcast, but sure, look, more on that when I can tell you more on that. I have a good bit of stuff lining up in the new year for you to sink your lovely little nashers into, but sure, now, today isn't about that. Today is about Ciaran Bartlett. I've gigged with this man a rake of times. We open with talking about one of the worst gigs ever that we did together. If you haven't come across Ciaran before, I bet you probably have, because there's millions of views of a couple of bits that he did during a set for BBC Northern Ireland in, I think he said it was the Mac Theatre, where one of them in particular, how to write a rebel song. It's unbelievably good. Enjoy, as I did with the almighty Ciaran Bartlett. Brilliant. He's a great man, Ciaran Bartlett. How are you keeping?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Great. All the better for seeing you. The last time we got to hang out, do you remember that?
I was talking about it the other day.
When Dave Elliott absolutely scalded myself, yourself, and Fiona.
Fiona, that's right. Yeah. What a gig. I remember I was over, there was a gig like about 2 minutes away from there the same night. And my mate was doing it, Shane was doing it. And I was over having a cup of coffee with him before, going separate ways, the art gigs, like. And he goes, I think it's sold out in there tonight. And he had this big grin on his face.
He fucking knew.
I went, does that mean it's not sold out? And he goes, no, it's sold out. And I went, why are you being weird for? And he goes, I think it might be a load of cops. And I went, oh, what the fuck? And I went, are you being serious? Because they love saying things like this to me, and it winds me up. And I go, like, is this real? Is this real? Like, I'm a victim of gaslighting in the comedy scene up here. And people they say things that sound like like words and like trendy phrases that, I mean, I sound 90 there, like, but like phrases that mean something to people online that mean nothing in real life. So when they say them, I go, is that a thing? Or is that like, because I'm really out of it and I don't really know like any of these things.
Right, gaslighting. So, even I'm like kind of going, I think I know what that is, but I'm old as fuck, so.
That's brilliant. Is that what it is? Or are you trying to play a trick on me?
It's some welding terms. I don't understand these welding terms that you're talking.
So like, I went over to do that gig, and there was just like a load of people from the cops, like from the PSNI, and I'm going, I would not have agreed probably to do this.
To be fair, Dave has cleared his name on this podcast. Anybody who listened back, yeah, no, he did. In fairness, he had apologized, and he was like, they gaslight. I don't know what phrase to use here. He used a cool phrase, a cool trendy phrase, and basically the venue pulled the fucking wool over his eyes and said, well, while Dave's away, we're going to sell this privately to the PSNI, who, I don't know, I'm probably going to get pulled the next time I fucking tip up the road, but it's, I would suggest there was they had brought a friend called Charles to that party, because there was confidence. Ciaran.
Yeah, it was mad, and all I remember was there was a guy wearing a really awful shirt, and I remember saying to him, it looked like a Roman coin collection. Had all these weird wee circles on it, and fuck man, I just remember being really rowdy to the point where you couldn't. And I fucking hated that hard. Like, and then, like, so Diona, I think she'd only started doing stand up recently.
Yeah.
And you had come all the way up, and I was like, like, I was knackered before we started. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was unnecessarily rowdy, like, too. Do you know what I mean? You're like, what? Why are you putting so much effort into being dickheads?
Yeah, it was mad. I remember you were doing this bit that I've seen you do. I think in Lavery's I saw you do. You just want to fuck up and like hear this bit, and they were sort of like, don't know. they were just dicks about it. Just going, Jesus, I was rough. Like, it was a rough gig.
Yeah, for the oddity of it that it was cops, because if it was any gang of other people, you go, okay, but you just assume, but then they do what they fucking want to. Do you know something that it pops up, and the amount of fuckers that have ripped it and put it on their own social media is the one where was it for BBC Northern Ireland, where you were, I don't know what club it was in, but it was very well shot, and it's the one, like, it's YouTube now is at like 3 million views.
Oh, that clip. Yeah. It was for BBC up here. It was for a show called Late License. We shot it in a theater up here, but it was in like the wee bar.
Yeah.
That's in the theater, in the Mac. And that clip has just gone mad. Like,
well, when people are ripping it off and putting it on their own social media,
because it's not even the best version of that bit. Yeah, I mean, people love ripping that off. Do you know what happens with it? Because I'm not really on social media, so I'm only on Twitter. I'm not on the rest of them. I don't really like it. And people that own, like, these accounts that'll be like call like something like Irish comedy or like Irish banter or something like that.
Yeah.
They'll always rip those clips off and just like not say to anybody they're doing it, but they'll rip them, put them up as their own clip, and then when it gets like it did, a couple of people texted me about a month ago or 2 months ago saying somebody had put it out on TikTok, and it did like 2 million hits on TikTok or something, and I'm going, well, it's a bit weird, because at that point, I don't get any fucking money when it does well, you know what I mean? But somebody should, I don't get any of the fucking YouTube coin, like, you know what I mean?
It's freezing something fucking brutal.
I'll try and move. I'll move. Maybe I'm like, I don't know why it's so crap though, because the signal's usually fine.
It's the time of the day too. That's the fucker. Okay. Like, the world of cunts are on Zoom right now.
A world of cunts on that should be the name of your next special.
A world of cunts on Zoom. Do you know, I don't, just almost like not getting ripped off as much as you, but I find myself saying, as country shit, it's not out of the norm, but the amount of stuff I've said to people go, oh, that's class. You're going, yeah, it's class in this context. But if I actually put that out to the greater public, between Ciaran and Tom right now, yeah. But if I put that out and said, this is the title of my next show, people go, what's wrong with this cunt?
Yeah, no, mate, it's totally melting, like, because in the context of a gig, you've got everything that's going on in the room that night.
Yeah.
And I used to be a bit funny about people filming gigs and stuff. That was a wee bit different, that clip, because that was something that, you know, I was specifically for that show. Like, but yeah, it's weird that it sort of has lived for so long. And I think the comments on it, I checked the comments whenever somebody said to me that it had gone over like whatever it was recently, like 2.8 million or some views. And I went on to look at the comments, mate. They're a shower, like.
Oh, bag old cunts. Like I never read the comments. Oh my god! Like
they say things like, "This guy's fat," and I'm like, "Fuck." I mean, can't argue there. Like, you know what I mean? What are you What are you supposed to say? Like, you know what I mean? And I think there's been a comment on it. You know, one of those comments that like does well, and then whoever owns the video deletes it, and then they just repeat the comment, and it does well again. So somebody just going, "This guy's a unit." It's like, I think we're on like the 5th unit comment, you know, of like somebody will just delete them every now and again at BBC, and people think that I'm controlling the video.
Oh, of course. Even though clearly the logo is there, it says BBC NI.
Yeah. It's nothing. It is literally nothing to do with me. And people are like, "Oh, delete my comment, did you?" And I'm like, "I didn't, mate. I didn't even see it." You know what I mean? It's just like.
But you know what? I mean, it would be glorious to just turn around and go, "I did, yeah," because you're a fucking dose. What have you ever made, you cunt? Nothing. You've never done anything. In fact, it's the fact that you have the time in your life to be writing comments on YouTube. Yeah. Just walk into the fucking sea.
Yeah, a dose is a great phrase that we don't really use up here. But
it's a lovely phrase. I've tried to, for the want of a better phrase, infect people with that phrase. A fucking dose. It's just, there's no need. Like one that I've been bringing back to, and it was from my time living in Cork, and I've purposely said it a few times while gigging in Belfast. Is the word is just a langer of a fucking thing. Just anybody can be a langer, or a situation could be a
langer.
Just a langer of it, because you can lean so heavily into that L. Fucking langer of a fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like that night in Pugug, that was a fucking langer of a night full of coked up fucking langers. That's what it was.
Yeah. That's very enjoyable. Have you been up here much recently?
No, I haven't. Not since the summer, or before the summer even, because I mean, like the lads are doing their best for whoever or whatever, you know. But it seems to be, and I hope it doesn't continue as a trend, but it seems to be around the country. It seems to be people are staying to their zones, you know, that kind of way, fucking Hunger Games style. Which is something I wouldn't be up for one bit, like, you know what I mean? Because I fucking, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? As soon as I open my mouth in Lavery's, I've already bought myself 5% with my accent, like, you know what I mean? Because they go, this guy sounds like a fucking weirdo. Let's listen to him.
Yeah, I think I went down. Where about you at the minute?
I'm in Tipperary now, but I was in Dublin for years and years, like.
Aye. But you're from Tip?
Yeah, from Tip, yeah.
So like I remember, I don't know where Enfield is. I think Enfield is like a wee tiny town in, I want to say, Kildare.
It's Kildare Offaly border. Yeah. Right, you're right in the Midlands there now, the Devil's Arsehole.
Yeah, the Devil's Arsehole. And I've always thought of Leitrim as some sort of arsehole of Ireland. Is it not?
By all accounts, the occult capital is just up the road from Enfield of Ireland, in a place called Enniskerry, with one half of no, not Enniskerry, what's it called? Oh fuck, it's Edenderry. Edenderry is up the road from Enfield, and Neil Delamere is from there, and they reckon it's the occult capital of Ireland. So
Jesus Christ,
yeah.
Well, actually, no, Satan, but that we went to Enfield last year, just when things had started opening up again, to like some hotel, just for like 2 days. You know, I know, right?
Right.
And just to like go to a hotel, and I thought things were getting back to normal. It was just when you were saying there about people staying to their own areas, people were like looking at us as if like we'd like flown in from fucking, you know, the UAE or something like. You know what I mean? they're like looking at you going, where are you from? You know, and you're like, West Belfast. And they were just being so weird with us. And then there was a swimming pool in this hotel. And I remember that you had to book in. And I was like, is this because I'm fat or something? They're like, you know, like you need to prepare like a team of guys to come in with the hoses and keep me wet. Like, and they were like, no, it's like a safety measure. So we booked in the pool and we went down, and like we thought because you had to book in, it was gonna be like us and maybe like, you know, 4 or 5 other people. This was like last summer, like 2020 summer. Do you know what I mean? This is like August 2020, right in the middle of fucking pandemic. And mate, it was like a free for all in there. It was fucking mental. But I mean, maybe they were all, you know, devil worshippers or something. I don't know. Like, didn't know that. That's good to know because I'd definitely never go there again.
Yeah, no, Enfield, you can. Yeah, I think I know. We used to at one stage lived kind of near that place. All right, and it was just a weird. They don't see many people from outside the 10-mile radius. You know what I mean? You know, that's.
Yeah. But it's funny to me whenever you look exactly or you feel like you look exactly the same as people, and they stare at you because they can tell you're wearing last year's Adidas, like, you know.
Yeah. But it's funny. I don't know who. I can't remember who I was talking with the other day, and we were talking about that exact thing where myself and herself, for our 2nd anniversary, we went up and did our own version of the Game of Thrones drive, you know, around right. for a long weekend around Belfast, around Northern Ireland. And for the most part, it's like we went to the castle where Winterfell was, and the woman was just fucking flabbergasted that we were. She was like, "But you came all the way, like." But the weirdest one and the funniest one, because again, for the most part, people didn't give a fuck, you know what I mean? Because they were touristy spots, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so, but we went to this one spot where it was in this old village north of Belfast city. Yeah. Definitely north of it. And it was like this old Tudory, beautiful little village with a very fucking weird name. I know Van Morrison lives near there.
Cultra or something, is it? Or
it's even weird. It's like this long triple barrel name. Okay. But we stayed in the oldest inn in Northern Ireland, like, and but clearly even I could see it. I was like,
is it Crawfordsburn?
That's it.
Right.
That's it. But we're staying at this place, and I'm like, oh, this is different. We're different. And of course, my wife, God bless her, being so naive, she was like, I don't see anything. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, we're having dinner that night, and the place was packed. But dinner was fucking spectacular. But the old boy who owns the place, he made his way over and he just stood there for 10, 15 seconds, Ciaran, staring at us, just going, jeez. Like 2 sentient fucking robots had, become fucking self-aware and decided to go out for a nice meal. Literally, he was going with the arms folded, just looking at us going, that's great.
Wouldn't it be amazing if you actually were a sentient robot, and just before you become self-aware to the point of destroying humanity, you go for a nice meal?
Crawfordsburn.
That's what you think of first. That's amazing. We went up the Dark Hedges one time, not that long ago. This was probably just prior to the pandemic, right? And we went up there, and we were staying in a wee B&B up around that way. And I'm not a huge Game of Thrones fan or anything, but we thought we'd go to it anyway on the way home. And I again, you might not know this just to look at me, but I'm not a very outdoorsy sort of guy. And we parked up in this weird wee car park at like what seems like an abandoned hotel, like a hotel that only opens for like 3 months a year. You know what I mean? And we were there in the off season. It kind of like the start of the Goonies. You know what I mean? Where they go to that fucked up cafe, right? And we went in there, and I remember I was in the middle of giving off to Chloe about like some guy that had like near run us off the road, right?
Right.
And as we walk up onto the path, I'm in the middle of going, do you know what fucking pisses me off too? And I said that, and then I just completely splattered myself. Like I slipped on like a wee bit of moss on the path. And when you just absolutely clatter fuck yourself into the ground.
Yeah.
And your first thought is, I want to go home.
Fuck the countryside.
You know what I mean? Be like, Chloe's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. Oh God. Eventually I got myself up, and mate was stood there for about 5 minutes deciding what we're gonna do. And we did. I was like, I don't even want to fucking see these trees. Just carefully walked back to the car, went home. Brutal. Fucking brutal.
Two of them got fucking blown down in the storm recently. It made the fucking Irish Times that two of the trees got fucking blown down. So and nothing about poor Ciaran Bartlett falling over on his hole.
I know, mate, fucking right. Like a guy with all the fucking, a guy that controls all those YouTube videos fell over. Unbelievable. How are gigs? Are you gigging in Tip then?
I was back up and down to Dublin for a few the Galway Comedy Fest and a couple more. We have a gig here in a monthly gig in the town just next door or whatever in Clonmel.
Right.
I mean, bobbing around, but nothing to the extent of what it was. Like, you know what I mean? One a week kind of a thing. And it seems to be a lot of, there was a bunch of corporate kind of ones booked in for Christmas, but they've all shit the bed because of, they put this 12 o'clock fucking rule on, which, and companies then just went, well, we ain't fucking going anywhere if we can't. And of course, companies don't want to be seen to be the cunts who brought COVID to the party or whatever, you know. So a bunch of them have gone virtual. So I'm working with a virtual company where we just kind of host shows. And I found that the best way for me to actually get through it is to take the piss out of people. And they seem to go, you know what, this is better than trying to force feed us some comedy. Like, it's just, you're just going around the fucking houses, just taking the piss out of people in their shitty curtains.
Aye.
It's all you can fucking do.
Yeah, I think it would be weird to try to do. It would be so weird for me as well to try to do like musical comedy via Zoom.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna die on its hole, and like nobody's like, how much are you gonna really laugh at that on Zoom? Do you know what I mean?
You might get away with it, you know, if you hit a green screen or something and you just didn't interact at all. You were a live YouTube video, and that's that. You know what I mean? That's the only way you could possibly get through it. We quickly realized early doors that stand-up comedy doesn't fucking work on Zoom. It just doesn't. The way these companies, the way they tend to do it is they have a tech guy kind of moving people's faces, and you actually kind of play drinking games and stuff like that, where you're just emceeing, taking the piss.
Yeah, you're sort of facilitating a good time, like.
Yeah, and that's typically, and you get people to have a row back and forth and shit like that, you know, and you're getting people to grass each other up and stuff. It makes for an all right time rather than, you know.
Another fucking name of a special. Tom Mahoney's all right time.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. That's not a bad name. Yeah, it's an all right time. I can't guarantee it isn't, you know. It's but do you know something?
My brother wants me to do a show called Ciaran Bartlett's Big Jamboree of Positivity.
Remember that?
Because it's just so. He's like, you're so upbeat, mate, and I'm like, I'm trying to fucking be upbeat. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how fucking hard it is for me? Oh, it's brutal, mate. I keep trying to be nice at gigs. Like, I literally try. Like, I go out going, just be sound to people, just be nice, and like something will happen, and it's just like. I'm nowhere near as bad as I used to be with just like freaking out. I used to freak out, like, and you know, really need to slag people off, but I don't really do it as bad anymore. I think I've sort of think it's going sort of well at the minute, comedy wise. Like, so I'm sort of trying to be very aware of why it's going well, as opposed to maybe just prior to the pandemic, I haven't been doing as much and it wasn't going as well. And now I'm sort of seeing the difference between that and then, and you know, then and now, like, and it's going far better at the minute, like, so I can't complain, you know?
Yeah, I suppose kind of what's something that clicked in my brain since we came back and started doing gigs is how much I fucking enjoyed it, and then it was like, oh yeah, this isn't actually about me at all. I've just to be a fucking professional here, and
Yeah.
facilitate your happiness. So,
Mate, that is exactly like what I've sort of come to realize about. Like, I used to definitely be going, I would have gone on, but definitely had the attitude of, I'm going to do this. And, you know, if you think that's too much or whatever, fuck you, like, you know, I'm doing this. I'm the guy that people are saying to say whatever you want. Whereas in reality, people are going out to have a good night.
Yeah.
You know, and especially at the minute, no, like, it's different. Like if somebody shouts something out or they want a bit of banter, or you know, you can play a wee bit and have a bit of a slag, like, but nothing. I would have probably spent too long doing that before. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I'm starting to just feel like far better. I think probably as well, gigging a wee bit more helps it too. Like, you know,
of course it does, because I mean, with anything comes experience, but at the same time, you start to realize, you dip your toe in the water of, oh, let's put on a show for you. Let's actually, this isn't, you know, because for me, I know I definitely went out a few nights and it was like, well, this is for self-therapy here. I'm doing this. So fuck you all. You're getting this up the hole. Yeah. And it may have gone grand, but then when you dip your toe into the water of, and it was Terry, I remember I had Terry Alderton on this, and he said it took him 5-6 years of just edging over that line to realize, oh, no, this isn't about me. This is, and these people don't they like me, but they don't really give a fuck about me. They care about their mortgage and what's for dinner tomorrow. That's actually, exactly. You know, this is just an hour where they get to giggle. Yeah, exactly. 100%. It was funny when you talked about having that fall at those trees on that same weekend. One of the greatest falls, and most like yours wasn't justified. You were just giving out about the world, but one of the greatest, most justified falls. And you talk about, you know, cross fucking, I suppose, pollination of people, and sometimes you want people to show their best when they're representing you or whatever. But we were in this place, this small little village. Again, I don't know why my brain is so fucked, but it was a small little coastal village. And there was a ferry across something else, but we were staying at...
Up here?
Yeah.
Portaferry or Strangford or something?
It could have been Portaferry, yeah.
Or could it have been Ballycastle and it was going across... Did it go across an island, or did it go across to like another town that's not on an island?
It could have gone across to... Yeah, it could have just gone across a peninsula. Like, I don't know if it actually went to another island. Was it something Patrick?
Oh, like down Patrick?
It could have been. No, I don't think it was. Either way, we were staying in this B&B, and there was nothing untoward about it. Like, but as it turned out, with this minimum amount of pictures on the wall, it turned out that's where Sean Bean and his family, his characters' families, they had them all living together in different places. Oh, shit. Right, so the whole Stark family stayed in this B&B above this pub. They made no hoopla about it. Like, there was the odd little picture, and that was it. Because they know HBO would shut them fucking down. Like, what was glorious was they had in their normal like carvery dining area, to one side, not sectioned off, nothing, to one side of it, they had kind of made a castle effect with some curtains on the wall, and they had these maybe six tables that were the Game of Thrones tables, right? And they let you put on like a big fur coat, and like you could get to choose your sword to leave on the table. And they had ripped off, from watching the show, they'd ripped off the first meal that was shown like in the castle, and it was like boiled eggs and rashers or something. It was fucking basic as fuck. But you know what? I was kind of semi-drunk, and it was like, you know, you're having it was always in this other couple down there. What was hilarious is like Nana was right next to you having like turkey and ham, and you're sitting there in full fur, a big fucking sword, and some old woman is coming out giving you a big fucking bowl of boiled eggs. You know, okay, this is brilliantly weird. And even the couple behind us, we were kind of looking, kind of going, this is brilliantly. But there was this couple, these two girls that were from Limerick. They were fucking back over in the corner. And it's one, she, like, to say this woman had the attitude of a fucking pig, like, would insult fucking pigs. Like, just... And wait, like, she was just bitch moaning and complaining to her friend that it wasn't authentic enough. Of course it wasn't. There was people having fucking asparagus on the table next to you. You know what I mean? It was like families were out for their dinner looking weirdly at us, like, and they were going, this one was bitch. And it wasn't expensive. That's the thing. It was really cheap. Yeah. You know, of course, HBO hadn't sanctioned this. It was hidden in the back of their fucking bar. And She was bitching and bitching, and she bitched to the old lady that was bringing out the stuff, and she was
no.
and I'm going, shut the fuck up. We came here. Can you? I just wanted to try, look, Christ Almighty, can you keep it under wraps and not be a fucking scumbag for one fucking minute?
Oh, that's brutal, mate.
And she's, and I'm going semi kind of representing roughly where I'm from. I'm going, can you just?
Yeah.
We're up here having a good time with these people. Shut the fuck up. And out of nowhere, she's bitching about the fucking, because they have this beer called Hodor beer. It's like, it's a fucking Carlsberg, like her heart with fucking the label on it. You know what I mean? And she takes a sip, and she's just about to kick off mid-flight about giving out about the eggs or something. And how? I don't know. Like an earthquake had happened under her. She just fell off her chair. And she was so helpless on the ground because she didn't know what had happened. To say I fucking lost it, Ciaran, was I stood up. I actually stood up and walked over and laughed down with bits of fucking rasher on my fucking lip. I stood up and laughed at that, and she wasn't aware that I was even annoyed by her. Like, she didn't even know I was there. She just saw this dickhead with a big fucking bear fur coat come over.
Man. That's so good.
But it was just,
a wee perfect moment.
And to put in context, the whole lot of these fuckers, these two fuckers just bitching and moaning about, and nothing to bitch and moan about. It was grand. It was hilarious, actually, in the shitness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like that type of shitness. I like. Have you ever been to Kong? I think it's in May. Is it Mayo? Is it?
Yeah. It's where they filmed The Quiet Man. They love to. Yeah.
So you can go in there where they film The Quiet Man, and they have the pub, from The Quiet Man,
right?
But again, not 100%, authentic. And then they also have like the cottage.
All right.
So this is the story, right? So the whole thing in The Quiet Man is obviously about them moving into that fucking cottage with White and Morn, right?
Yeah.
And so in the town of Kong, they have rebuilt that cottage, and you can pay in and go and see it and whatever, but it's not actually the cottage where they filmed it. The cottage where they filmed it is like out in the arsehole of nowhere.
Right.
And it's like it's beside some like a bullshit Art Deco kind of house, like where someone has bought the land and for my parents for some reason. So we totally went and saw that shit. And also, do you know where I've been? There's a place over in England called Home Firth where they filmed Last of the Summer Wine, which was like this.
Really?
Do you remember that place?
I remember, but fucking, it's still being replayed on like BBC Gold and shit like that.
Yeah, like fucking granny. It's like granny comedy. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking brutal. Like, but they filmed that there, and that made that whole town, like nearly every shop in that town has like a bullshit. Here's like a wax statue of one of these characters, and I'm like, you know what I mean? But they're shit. They're badly done. Like, I love that. I have my picture beside one, a compo, like, just like. So I'm like 11, being like my arm around some fucking wax old man. It's amazing.
I do, yeah. I love the note, yeah, the idea, because mates of mine, I've never been to Vietnam, but by all accounts, every fucking plastic seated fucking restaurant / street vendor has a picture of like Anthony Bourdain as if he ate there. Could kind of eaten at every fucking one of these, but they're all going for it. Like, oh, come sit on the Anthony Bourdain seat. Like, okay.
Yeah, I got that. I was in Santa Monica one time, right? And we were out on the pier. So we did Route 66, and so it finishes on Santa Monica Pier, right?
Right.
So we got a picture. We got a picture at the start sign in Chicago and a picture at the halfway point. And there was like amazing when we were at the half point. There was a couple of families like getting photos at the halfway, and I took photos for one of them. And I was like, how long have you been doing it for? And they were like, what are you on about? And I was like, are you on the route? And they were like, no. Why are you getting the fucking halfway photo? Halfway to fuck all? That's like, you're not even doing anything. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
I'd be like you're watching a football match, and at halftime you absolutely huff a couple of oranges into you, like, you know what I mean? Just watching it on TV. Do you know what I mean? So like, it was totally weird. But we at Santa Monica, there was like on the pier. There was like loads of Do you know there was like a big Bubba Gump restaurant and all, but it's a bit there, and you're sort of going, don't really trust, chain seafood.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So we didn't know where to go, and there was a hot dog stall. And we thought, well, look, we'll grab a hot dog here, and that'll do us, and then we'll get something better later. And the hot dog stall had like pictures of all like celebrities that have meant to have eaten there. And the guys from Lincoln Park were there, like the pictures of all the guys at Lincoln Park. And I went, well, what did this guy at Lincoln Park have? Your man Mike Shinoda. And they were like, oh, he had this Korean style hot dog. And I went, well, hit me up with one of them, mate. Oh my God, it was fucking horrific. Now, I don't know if this is a thing down there, but is Dulce a thing down there? Dulce?
What's Dulce?
It's like purple seaweed.
Oh, I've come across it. Yeah, I've come across it. Yeah. No, fuck all that.
You don't sound like you're a fan.
I smelled it. I smelled it from across the foot. Yeah, no. Listen.
Listen was amazing. I don't mind it, right? I don't mind a bit of Dulce. But this came with like, the type of seaweed that when it catches around your feet in the sea, you shit yourself.
Yeah.
It was that. And it was like that on top of this hot dog with like a scurry egg in it. Like an egg that I don't know. I'm quite fussy about eggs. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't like them when they're, when they still might hatch. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It made and I thought to myself, I can't throw the egg like on the ground. Do you know what I mean? You can't litter the pier. And I thought, well, I'm just gonna have to get stuck in here. And oh my God, egg and seaweed and like shit, like those American sausages where it's just like arseholes and eyelids.
Oh
like,
yeah.
That. Oh mate, the worst. And the pictures of the guys from Lincoln Park, they're all like, like this, and I'm like, no mate, this is fucking grim.
Yeah, this will give you an insight into fucking Lincoln Park, really, doesn't it? Like, just the sadness was real, as they were singing the fucking. Why were they all screaming and shouting? It's because they eat disgusting fucking grub.
Yeah, crawling in my skin. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. Get yourself a fucking jab on, you cunt. What are you doing?
Unbelievable.
The music career would have fucking gone nowhere had they not.
That's so good. But Lincoln Park, and somebody just goes, "Get yourself a jab on, you cunt."
I cried so hard. No, you could have eased it off with a chicken fillet roll. It would have been okay. It would have been all right. She wouldn't have left you. It's okay.
Get yourself some fucking spicy wedges out of the garage. Here, do you know what you have down there that are fucking amazing? Ice burgers.
Don't fucking tell me you don't have ice burgers.
We don't have them up here.
What?
Mate, see when I go down south. There are a couple of delicacies that I make it my mission.
I'm bringing you a box of ice burgers from the fucking cash and carry.
There's ice burgers, and is there ones called? Are they called like Razzles or something? And they're like these wee bacon flavored crisps. They're lattices. They're like a wee lattice.
Oh, waffles. They're Tayto make.
Waffles. Oh, mate. See, I don't know if you've heard recently about the Tayto wars, but like, there's Tayto in the south and there's Tayto up here.
Yeah.
And they're two separate companies.
Are they actually two different companies?
Yeah. So like, there's been there was a big deal up here made about Banshee bones coming back, which I kind of spearheaded the big deal. You know what I mean? Because we haven't had them up here probably since the agreement. But then
fucking Banshee bones political, because I know it was a big deal on the Monster Fuzz podcast. The lads were fucking going mental to get the Banshee bones back. But you have taken it to another level. I didn't realize it was political.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there was so I found out from Tayto that like Tayto in the south aren't meant to sell up here as Tayto, and Tayto in the south, Tayto in the north aren't meant to sell down there as Tayto.
Oh, like Bulmers and Magners. So
yeah, exactly. So like but so we don't get those waffles, mate. Oh my! And I mean, just smelling them gives you heartburn for about 3 days, but it's so worth it. Like, you know what I mean?
You just named like two of my favorite things for a hangover. Like just
They're both
get
amazing.
that fucking shit into me. But iceburgers, like they've been around forever. Hey, we just might have stumbled onto a fucking business here.
They're,
Do you know what I
I
mean?
don't know. Yeah, mate, they're unreal. You can't get them up. I'm trying to think what else you can't get. You didn't used to be able. There was a time when you couldn't get a mini up here as well.
That's just that. I mean, that's fucking apartheid. You know what I mean?
Isn't
That's
it?
fucking disgraceful. Like, fuck.
You had to go over the border to get them, and then smuggle them back in like fags. But then it
That
was
just fucking hiding them inside green diesel tanks just to fucking.
But is there stuff up here? I see. I don't think. I don't think there's anything that's up here that's so cherished that you can't get down there.
No, it's the one thing that I can't really think. I mean, it's quite commercial in the north anyway, so you're gonna get most things.
Mm.
The one thing that struck me, I remember I used to stay at a B&B in, oh Jesus Christ, and outside Enniskillen,
Right.
because I was working on a building site up there, and I'd be up maybe once a fortnight, and I'd stay for a few days. But and that was the first of the B&Bs, but a handful of them around that I stayed in, they must get a grant for butter, because the fucking butter content in, like, how is this? How are you getting butter into a rasher? How did you do that? And it was that and fucking potato cakes. These, what do they call them?
Potato bread.
Yeah, like I'd never seen. But
potato bread down there.
it's starting to make its way down, because you would see it in Monaghan floating down through Cavan,
Right, yeah.
but you'd get it now in the odd. It's actually been like peddled as being fucking artisan now inside the odd super value, like, you know. No doubt the cunts from the Hungry or the fucking, what do they call them, the Happy Pair, those two pricks are probably peddling it.
Yeah, it used to be here that if you ordered a fry somewhere, you'd have got black pudding, but you wouldn't have got white. Or if you did, it wasn't that Clonakilty style.
Yeah.
You'd have got like just like shit. It was like pinker sausage, you know.
Yeah.
But the Clonakilty ones, mate, they're real. But that made potato bread. Do you know what's weird? If you order soda bread down there, they give you what we call wheaten.
Okay.
So like, it's not a soda farl. Like, do you know you've had soda the way we have it?
I'm assuming I have. I fucking must have had, because I've eaten a lot of Ulster fries, which they love to call it an Ulster fries. Like, relax.
I know.
Don't have to make a breakfast political. We're all on the one island, lads. Jesus Christ. Of course, yeah.
I'll have 6 rashers, one for every county that was stolen, and our soda bread is like it's white bread usually, and it's sort of just like, it's hard to explain, because it's like, this is like going our potatoes, or, you know, how do you explain what a potato is? Do you know what I mean? But a soda bread, like, I don't know what you guys call wheaten. Or you call what you call a soda bread down there, we call wheaten.
Okay.
That brown, crusty.
Yes, yeah.
Smells funny if you smell it up close.
Some people stick fucking Guinness and shit in that.
Aye, fucking rotten. And I don't like that. But if you ask for soda up here, they'll give you this big, thick fucking, this big epic bit of toast. Like, it's unbelievable.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
Sometimes they'll fry it. They'll deep fry it. That's not for me, like, because then it's like throwing a sponge into the fucking oil. You know
Yeah. I must have fucking had it, because that woman tried to poison me in fucking, like, no matter what. Because I used to say to her, like, no, what time do you have your breakfast? I'm like, Mrs., I'm up at 5. I'll just leave out the fucking cornflakes. I'll I'll get something later. You're all right. And fair fucks to her, but she was out, and they were, by all accounts, they were millionaires. They didn't actually need the money. I think they just needed the fucking company. But I used to stay with this old couple, and they were, I say stay with it. They had a B&B. I didn't just fucking move into their bed, like, just
just in one of their cupboards. There was is Cashel, is it in Tipperary?
That's right up the road from me here.
Right. So like, whenever there was a time we stayed in another B&B up near the coast, and we're very middle class, aren't we? Like,
listen to you.
Trips and all, and we stayed in another one up there, and the only other people that were there in the breakfast room the next morning was this older couple from Tipperary.
Right.
And although I didn't know that, I didn't know where they were from. When she first started speaking, their accents were so thick, man. I swear to God, I genuinely thought they were German. Right? Like it was. She literally goes, "Hello, like that now." Right? Did you just take away some of my rights? What did you just say? And she was saying, "Do you follow the hurling?" Right? And I was like, not really. Like nobody from. I mean, Antrim's probably the only decent hurling team in the north. And I'm going, but like you don't follow the hurling if you're from up here. You watch the final and that'll be it. Like, do you know what I mean? And the guy, he was distraught when I was like, "Oh, not really. I'd maybe know a bit more about the football." Like, and they said like we're from Tipperary, and I said, I've definitely been there, but I can't really. I feel like I said I've definitely been to Clonmel, but I can't really remember anything about it. And they mentioned the Rocket Cashel, mate, but the way he said it, the Rocket Cashel, like your fucking accent is thick, like, and he didn't give a fuck. I literally said to him, I went, "Sorry," I says, my accent's fairly thick, like, and I says, "And so's yours, so we're probably coming at it from two different directions, And he didn't give a fuck. He just kept on chatting. I have no idea what he said, but he looked happy when he said it. You know what I mean?
They talk about like, and I tried to get it across to people on stage. It never really worked, but they talk about Cork people loving Cork. Fucking Tipperary people, fuck the confidence. I've only seen it since I moved back down here. It's like the confidence from everybody, just stomping around the world, just going, "I'm from fucking Tip, and I don't give a fuck." Like, and that sums up that old boy. And I'd forgotten how strong the accent was here. Yeah. I met a guy I worked with years ago on a farm, and I don't think I ever sounded like him because my parents are kind of from slightly. Mother's from Kilkenny and they lived abroad a bit. So it would have been a bit of softness there. But this guy pulled up. He drives everywhere in a tractor. But he pulls up and he's like brakes, fucking all dramatic and shit, like something out of the Hardy Box. That's all I heard. But something old in my brain went, "That's my name being said at me there." Because genuinely, if you recorded it on this right now, if you took a recorder out, all anybody would have heard was, "Ah!" And I went over and says, "Jesus, Jimmy, I haven't seen you in 25 years. He goes, I Jimmy away. Yeah. And he fucking knew. He knew the prick. He knew full well that I struggled with what he just said. But he started chuckling and just went, like I was saying to the sister, she was telling me on the road the other night before I came down, she was after tour. And I'm going, what in sweet fuck? And it took me the good 2 minutes to slip that gear and get in there with him. Like, but he wasn't, it was fuck me. Like, there was no... do you know what it is? It's very French. It's actually a very French thing where the French are like, well, you don't speak French. Well, you can die of the fucking hunger. So,
do you know what's fucking brutal, man? I'm trying to learn French at the minute, right? And
it started with the kissing.
Yeah, and I can read it a fair bit. Mate, see, as soon as they start speaking it, Jesus Christ! Like,
I can't wait till you are fluent, but you don't have the accent, and you speak with your West Belfast accent in fucking French.
Anytime I've ever been away anywhere, and I try, I'll always put forward the effort, but I can't do the accent. Like, do you know what I mean? So, like in German, I'll just totally sound like somebody from. I sound like somebody from where I'm from. I sell you a fucking car. Do you know what I mean? They're saying weird stuff you half understand, not really though. Do you know
Ik ben Ijslander. Hey.
and they always just look at you straight away and go, "All right," and they just start speaking in English to you because they can't be fucked with your awful.
This is going to be painful for everybody. Let's just fucking speak in English for fuck's sake. 5 years of college down the fucking drain, learning how to speak the language.
Oh, it's fucking brutal. But what was I going to say? This is a stupid question, but you know the way the number plates from Tip are north and south.
Yeah.
Is it two counties or is it just
No,
one?
it's now since then it's combined. It's just for the last 2 years it's just been T, and that's
Oh,
killing
really?
people. They're like, no, we're nothing like North Tipperary because they're like they are wild Midlanders up there where we'd be, what
more culture. Yeah.
It was driving people mental that they amalgamated. It was two different county councils, and once upon a time, I've asked a lot of people this question, but everybody gives you a sideways fucking answer, like, and it's rather than somebody being honest and going, I don't know. Everybody's given me a different fucking story. By all accounts, it was given to two brothers, and they went, well, we're not sharing it, so because that's as you know, the British were like, well, you can have Tipperary. And they just cut it in half, and South Riding and North Riding.
Yeah.
So they had two different county councils.
Man, the Brits love that. Like, they love just handing out bits of other countries.
See, Barbados have told them to fuck off. Do you see that?
No.
As of this morning, Barbados has said, "Good luck and thanks." Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, zero ties now anymore. Like.
Oh fuck! It's gonna be a big loss the next Commonwealth game. Unbelievable.
The fucking writing could be on the wall, Ciaran. Before you know it, you'd have waffles fucking on every corner.
I know, mate. Yeah, we need to reunite. We need to reunite this country. Like, just if for no other reason than to give iceburgers to the thousands of people out there that have been so deprived. I know, mate. See if you fucking ship a load of iceburgers to the DUP, they'll be chomping at the fucking bit to change the rules. Like,
that's the thing. Like, I nobody around here would know one fucking thing about politics. Like, like nobody gives a fuck about anything other than what's going on,
like, in front of them. Yeah.
And hurling dominates fucking everything. Like, literally, and I know where that guy was coming from because I could see I can mentally imagine his disappointment. Like, you're less of a human to him. To be honest with you, Ciaran, you're
I definitely feel that way. I wouldn't feel that way about Gaelic football, like, but I mean, when I say to some, if I meet a guy and I say, that sounds like I'm out trying to meet men, but I mean, like, if I'm chatting to like a new male person, I'll say, do you follow football much? And when they say no, or it's not for me, mate, I'm like, well, we've 1,000 less things to talk about now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Even when I started playing, because I realized quite early that I wasn't good at hurling, because my only thing was just I couldn't get into my head, you have to play a game to get the ball. I just wanted to put my head down and mash people. Like, I didn't understand, but it was just because I was so agricultural. It was just But I ended up playing rugby, and rugby down here wouldn't be a posh sport. Like, it's what lads would train at when hurling isn't around. You know what I mean? But because there's not a lot of posh bits in Tipperary. So I started playing that, and it was like, this is a sport. So you can just, this is GBA. Like, you can just plow into people, and great. But like, I remember I went to start a team for our school. I was like, myself and another boys, we've got a load of lads that play rugby for clubs. Let's start a school one, because we went to a normal old vacation at school, like, and they were like, not at all, no fucking, you'll never. And finally, we got to start one, and like older guys, like, what? This is the most mental shit. A guy actually covered. I must have put a cloth over the family phone and rang my parents' house, asking for me. And this is a grown ass man telling me to stop introducing that Protestant shit and robbing our hurlers and Gaelic footballers for the sport. They're like, but then this is 2001.
Yeah.
Like 3 years later, Munster are fucking playing in the Ireland Cup final. All these cunts are suddenly fans and experts now.
Yeah. See, that kind of happened here, where it was definitely seen as a sort of posh or Protestant thing, and then around like 98, 99, Ulster had a fucking team and a half.
Oh yeah. Well, they won the first Heineken Cup, sure.
Won that was that in 99?
99, yeah.
And I remember I was standing, so I was out training for the school football team, right?
Right.
And I was in goal, like, and of course I was, and the ball's up the other end of the pitch. and one of the teachers, like he taught business studies or something like that. He's sort of out down around the pitch, and he comes over and he goes, "Do you play rugby?" And I goes, "No." And he goes, "You do now?" And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "What? You know, like Wednesdays after school rugby, you should be there." And I'm like, "All right, okay, because you need at least 3 backups in the team." And I played for a few years then in the rugby team, but we weren't like a rugby school. Do you know
Yes,
what I mean?
yeah.
So we used to get like there were like fucking cricket scores when we played. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, especially like, you know, like the schools up here that are really good at rugby would send like their thirds to play us, and
Yeah.
we would get like roundly fucked by them. Do you know what I mean? It was the like, because it was like these guys have been playing rugby since they were fucking 5 or 6, and we're out, you know, having just learned that what a fucking ruck is, and you know, these guys are fucking like, some of them are gonna go on and be pro rugby players.
But that's
We're
it. The
getting
likes of Malone and Methody and these places,
uh,
they're actually feeding the Ulster fucking rugby team. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So
yeah. There was a guy, there's a fellow that I became really good mates with, like later, and he had joined Ulster,
fuck.
and then had like some injury issue that meant that he never actually got to fully play for them. But he was in like, he was due to fucking, you know, they were expecting big things off him, but then he had some problem with his hip or something, and he never made it. But I mean, Jesus, the guy has mad talent, like, and we were talking, and I said he went to Inst, and I said to him, I went, "You boys used to fuck us every time we played." And he went, "I never played this because I was in the first team." I was in the first team. We would have sent the thirds and the fourths to deal with you. And I remember just going, "Oh, why does this hurt me now? Like 10 years later, like, why does it hurt? Like, you know, fucking rough. Like, it was a good game though. It was good playing it. Like,
Well, yeah, that's what, and like I realized early on that I was this suited me more, like, because you just, you know, you can be really shit at it and still kind of get away with it, like, you know.
I played a wee bit of hurling, like just in like primary school. I played. We didn't have a hurling team in secondary school, so I played from a primary school though. But I got sent off one time where you know when you go to swing the stick, you're like, well, I swing left,
Right.
you know, even though I'm right-handed, but I swing left. So my left hand is at the bottom of the stick, and as you swing the hurl, your hands will meet.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you know that thing. Well, this guy kept his hands in the same place as they were,
Oh
and
no.
tried to swing, and just kind of like slashed my hand quite bad with a stick. And I sort of went down, and 3 of my fingers were like fucked, like really, like, you know when something happens and you're like, your hands just shaking, and
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
not shaking it, it's just going nuts, and it's
Yeah.
starting to throb, and I'm going, I might need to get fucking subbed off here, right? And I shouted ref, and the ref just gives me the signal for play on, you fucking dick, right? And the kid that did it laughed, right? And I went, "Oh, I'm not having that." I turned, as he ran away, I like turned my stick around and, like, you know, slung it down into his back. And he did, you know, the classic platoon fall, you know,
Arms
your
up in
arms
the air.
out,
Yeah.
you know. He did one of those and went down, and the ref fucking saw that, and he sent me off. And I was like, I remember, you know, when you're like 11 and you're scared to like be cheeky, but
Yeah.
but in the moment, and I was like, "Oh, you saw that? You saw that?" Didn't see this guy fucking breaking my hand, like, oh, it's brutal. I got sent off. I think we still won though.
Who would have known that maybe that was when what county is Belfast in? Is it County Down it's in?
Antrim.
Antrim. Is it?
Yeah.
Was it music first
Mm-hmm.
and then introduced to the comedy, and we went, I'm gonna put the two of these to fucking together for the crack?
It was I was doing music fairly flat out
Were
for
you?
for a long time. Like, I did I was in bands, and I was mostly just a singer in bands, and then but I had been playing the guitar as well. And then I had in one of those bands, myself and the guitar player of that band had quite a successful two-piece where, like, there wasn't really a lot of places up here would have had live music at that time.
Yeah.
Like there was places for bands to play, but not really. Now if you go into a bar up here on any night of the week, all the bars 7 nights a week, live music, and maybe 2 or 3 gigs a night. But like in 2005, 2006, it didn't exist, and so we started playing out the back of like a nightclub. Somebody saw me playing a few tunes at a house party and got in touch with this guy that ran a nightclub, and he got in touch with me and said, here, I've been looking for somebody to do acoustic stuff out the back to sort of have like a different vibe, but to keep people from leaving the place if they want to break. And because the club was fairly like...
And by out the back, you mean in another room under the same roof, not actually out with the bins?
Oh, no, out with the bins. Out with the bins.
Really?
Yeah, right. And there was no, this was like pre-smoking area type stuff. This was like fucking, some people thought I was begging, like, that I was like, put money in a glass for me. And I'm like, no, I'm getting fucking paid to be here. Keep your money, like. And then I definitely also took some money, but so me and my mate started doing that. I was doing that for a bit, then he started it. And then the bars started to realize that if you had an area like this and did it up a bit, you could keep a lot more people there.
Yeah.
So this bar that we played in did it. And then we were playing in theirs. We were in there every Saturday for years. And then we started gigging in other bars and stuff when they started having live music. And we were having a really good run of it for about 4 or 5 years. And then my mate, he bounced and went over to become like a musical director over in London.
Right.
And I stayed, and I was doing a PhD here, and I kept doing the odd bit of music. But then about 2010, I sort of thought part of what we were doing was like, you sort of needed to tell people to fuck up out the back a bit, but without saying that. You couldn't be aggressive.
Yeah.
So the way to do it was to kind of give them a bit of stick, a bit of banter, and it was all good fun, like. But you are also fully telling them to fuck up. You know what I mean? And sort of from that, then was going to comedy clubs, and one of my other mates was like, we went to a comedy club one night, and it was bad. Like it was just a bad night. The classic of they have a guy on from London who's doing bits about the tube and Pret a Manger and whatever, and you're going, we don't have these things here. Your points of reference are fucked. And people just hear your accent. People are hearing his accent immediately going, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And then he starts going, oh, I was in the West End, and everybody was talking about. So it was rough. And one of my mates was like, you should do comedy. And I was like, ha, very funny. He was like, no, seriously, you should do it. And he was like, you'd at least be better than that guy. And I was like, I don't think that's what starts an artistic journey, is going,
you'll at least be less shit than that bloke. So
yeah, do you know what I mean? I was like, is that why Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel? It was, you know what I mean? It was.
I love how you've aligned yourself in your comedy career with Michael.
I've been slaving away on my back for 10 years. You know what I mean?
Poor man got goiter in his neck from fucking leaning backwards.
Yeah. And do you know what I mean? No, you're like, that's not how you get into things normally. But he sort of said it, and I went, right. And then I kept going and watching, and then I thought, fuck, I should probably give this a lash, right? And then in my complete stupidity, and I mean, I think now there's far more of a scene here.
Oh yeah, no, there's a good following.
Actually, yeah, and a lot of people actually started around, say, between like 2009 and 2011. So I was sort of right in the middle of that, like, started 2010, and but before that there was really only 1 or 2 clubs. Do you know what I mean? And one real club, like, and then the rest of them were kind of open mics and smaller clubs and stuff like that. But I just went to I went over to Colin Murphy one night after he was done in the Empire, and just brass balled it and went, here, give us a gig in here, will you? And he was like, who are you? And I was like, how do you not know me? Do you know what I mean? I play music out the back of my Kraken. And
Well, the pub was called McCracken's, and you were put in the back of McCracken's.
You know why it's called that? Yeah, no, exactly. I'm in the crack of McCracken's. It was it's called McCracken. Mate, I know too much about that bar because it's in a place called Joy's Entry, and that's the family Joy McCracken. It's named after him because that he was held in a prison that was in that entry, and that's where he was hanged. Is out the front of Joy's Entry. And I also happen to know that the newspaper used to sell used to sell copies. There used to be a bar where McCracken's bar is called the Peacock, and you would buy copies of the newsletter under the sign of the Peacock. This isn't like the fucking 1700s, and that's why the newsletter has like a peacock plumage as its symbol. Anyway, I like to throw out this PhD in journalism every now and again.
Love it.
Never was down well on stage.
I'll be editing this bit out. Don't worry, Kieran.
But I went over to Colin Murphy. I says to him, "Here, give us a gig," and he sort of looked at me and was like, "Well, have you been gigging?" And I was like, "Been gigging for like 6 years," and he's like, "In comedy," and I'm like, "No." And he said to me, "Well, you sort of need to do a bit of comedy. You can't just fucking start here. This is a professional club." Like, and he wasn't being a dick at all. He was being so dead on. And I said to him, "Well, who do you need to speak to?" And he goes, "Well, there's a guy called Graham that runs this open mic in the Pavilion. That's where a lot of people start. And if you do well there, we keep an eye, and Jackie that runs in here will know, and you'll get a spot if you're doing well." I went, okay, went and got in touch with that guy, Graham, and he was like, "Oh, I can't give you anything for like two months here." And I'm like, Graham. And then he got me a gig a month earlier than that, which was right at the end of January in 2010. And I did that gig and it went well. So I wrote like loads of material for it, and I practiced it on a few people.
Lovely.
And but I didn't make. This is the thing. What I was saying about there being more of a scene now. You know, like if you looked up, "I want to start stand-up comedy" on Google now, you'd probably find very good information about how to go about it. I had no fucking idea. And the guy said to me, "Do 7 minutes," right? And I thought, well, in music here, if somebody said, "Can you, do me a half an hour?" What they're saying is, don't do anything less than half an hour.
Yes.
And sure, you do 45, then great, right? And nobody would really care. Like no one would care. And it was so naive. And I went down going, "Well, he says 7, but I've got 22 in the bag," right? And I went and did it, and it went well. Like the actual gig went well. And I think being on stage in bands really helped me. Like I didn't have any of those "I don't know where to be" sort of.
Of course, yeah.
But when I came off, that guy was like, "Yeah, that was great." And I went, "Was it?" And he was like, "Well, the material was good, but I said
it was 3 fucking gigs worth."
Yeah. He goes, "I said 7 minutes," and I went, "Right." And like he was really fucked off, and I was like, "I'm sorry," and he was like, "Oh, don't never fucking do it again," basically. And I was like, "Okay, you're weird." And then I did my second gig, which Graham gave me, and I wrote like a whole new show for it, all right? Because I thought this is what you do. You write like your whole new fucking show. So I wrote this whole new bit and went down again 20 minutes, and he was like, "Mate, you can't. He's not being weird. You're being weird. Why are you doing like you're special? You're supposed to be like trying this out, like, and you're fucking, I'm finishing with a strong light show, like, what I mean?"
Dancers and everything come on behind.
Yeah, but see, when it started, I didn't use the guitar or anything, and then somebody said to me one night, you should do music. People would like it if you did songs. And I was like, I don't know, because I don't like. Do you know what I don't like in musical comedy is? Do you ever see like sometimes you're watching people and they'll do a song that lasts for like 3.5 minutes, and only one or two bits of it are funny.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that. So I was like, if I'm gonna do musical stuff, it's gotta either be, if it's gonna be longer than like a minute, it's gonna need to be jammed with jokes, and otherwise it should just be one-liners and like, maybe like here's 2 or 3 lines of what this idea might be. Do you know what I mean? And just leave it there.
Yeah.
And not bother doing the full songs, because that I hate that myself. Sure, you're glad you asked how I got into comedy, but that's kind of how it started. How did you get into it?
I kind of got tricked into it. It was I was working in a fucking job that I hated. I hadn't hated any job up until then. Like, I'd worked in construction for years. The fucking country shit the fucking bed. And the only place I could get a job was working for an insurance loss adjusting firm. So you're going out to people who are having a terrible time. And they say it's, you're supposed to be there to log it and make a report of it. And so the insurance company can pay out. Really, it's the insurance company you're paying you to find these people, find a fucking crack somewhere in these people's story so they don't have to pay out. Sure, I was brutal at the job. I was fucking writing checks for everybody. I didn't give a fuck. I was like, whatever, it's the insurance company. They're loaded. Like, But I remember one of these few people I liked, I was working with her and I told her this story just to brighten her day up. And it was a story from lunchtime where I was inside in a spar and your man had this ridiculous fucking accent behind. He was from Cork, but he spoke really high and he couldn't pronounce it. He big lisp. And I just went into this story about this guy, how he got the job and how he'd always, knew it was. And she laughed so hard she burst a fucking blood vessel in her nose.
Yeah.
And before the jigs and the reels, anyway, she had kind of lined up a fucking gig for me because she was going, you have to do this shit. You can't you hate this fucking job and you're going to end up going postal and murdering somebody in here. Because at the time I'd come from a construction environment where you literally could be the most aggressive person on the planet.
Yeah.
And it was fully acceptable. It was fully and openly acceptable for me to be screaming into your face at 7:00 in the morning and threatening you with a fucking nail bar across the fucking head. And then, meet you at 10:00 and have a smoke and chat. So it was, I brought that same attitude into that office. And I was going, fuck that cunt of a printer out the fucking window. I can't even look at the and people are going, these are people typing quietly. And I'm losing my shit, kicking over desks and stuff. And heaven forbid some cunt stole my sandwich or fucking puts it, you know what I mean? Just, I was so not a fit for this. And she saw that. And before I knew it, then I was in a fucking comedy club. She kind of tricked me, herself and her husband brought me in and they went, and they'd already teed up the boys who were running the club. Like, and in fairness, your man goes, you're not fucking getting on stage. Don't fucking worry about that because you'll be shit. You have nothing prepared, And it was Billy Anderson was the guy's name. Billy died a couple of years ago in a car accident.
Oh God, I met him. He was really. I did a couple of gigs with him. He was really
100%. Yeah, and like talk about an absolute encyclopedia of the history of stand-up comedy, and he fucking loved everything about it. It wasn't just jokes. It was fucking. So he was kind of my mentor for the first year or two. It was like, but yeah, he snuck a gig up on me because I got fucking drunk, brought all the lads in, had a great time because I'd never been in a comedy club before. Yeah, we all got steaming, and then the following day he rings me and I have a big stinking hangover. He's like, "How do I spell your name again?" O'Mahony. I'm like, "What?" I'm thinking, did I break something? Am I going to get a fucking invoice here? Yeah. And what it was for a fucking poster for my local spar in Cork at the time for a fucking gig the next week. I thought it was going to be like 5 or 6 weeks, like he initially said. But of course, I'd been pissed drunk and agreed to it. I went, yeah, I'll do it in this soccer club. Yeah, let's do it. Well. So, but yeah, you just get your shit together, and
you do. It's actually being given the date.
Yeah,
makes you go right. I better not fuck this up.
And
like if you're just aimlessly sort of going. Yeah, my nephew's thinking about getting into it at the minute, and I'm this close to just saying to somebody, book him, like book him for this, give him a date, because he keeps saying, "Oh, I'm working on this, I'm working on that," and I'm like,
fuck him into the water, you know what I mean? Catch him and fuck him into the water. He'll have to swim, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and that was that week was I just had to put fucking 7 minutes together, and I had in my head, because I'd spent a lot of time driving around the country for jobs and stuff like that. You log funny shit if you are that way inclined anyway. So let's try and extrapolate that. And the bits while I did, you see, what was great too was the lineup was beyond dreadful. Like, it was so at least if I was shit, I was a slightly shinier shit than some of the lads that were there. Like,
Aye.
but I mean, it was still no doubt a grim enough gig. Like, I don't know, I
Yeah,
can't.
that kind of happened in my first gig too, where one of the guys, so Shane actually emceed my first gig, and he was good. I can't just remember who headlined it. It might have been Sean Haggerty, and he was good. But there was other guys on that were just like me who had maybe done just a bit more though. They'd done 2 or 3 gigs, but there was one guy did like a 6-minute bit, bit
Right.
about the majesty of snow.
Oh.
Right, and his words, and I don't think I've never seen him gig again since. But
Yeah.
one of my mates was talking. One of my mates, if it snowed today, would text me just saying majestic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It became known in our group of friends as like one of the worst fucking things we've ever experienced together. Do you know what I mean?
But there was a gang of those fellas too when I was starting out and coming maybe a year or 2 into it, and I was coming up and doing gigs, especially in Dublin and stuff. But I remember seeing lads, you're going, man, you are here because you're hurting. Like, but do you not realize you're fucking dying on your hoop? But there was kind of a collection of them, and their whole thing was, the world isn't ready for edginess. I was like, no, the world's ready for edginess. It's not ready for absolute fucking dung. Because Levi's.
Yeah, mate,
you know what I mean?
It's the worst. It's the worst when people say stuff like the crowd aren't ready for me, or like ceilings are too high in here.
Yeah.
Like, no, but it's the worst when they say stuff like that, or they have it's like having the swagger of a comedian, but none of the material is the worst combo. Whereas at least I think if you've got material and you need to learn a bit of fucking stagecraft, that's far easier to fix. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're starting, if you're a funny person and you're nervous on stage, keep going. It'll fix itself. If you're overly confident and your jokes are shite, that is dangerous. Like, and also that type you're talking about like guys that are there to work out their issues are not what a paying audience wants to see. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, because I mean,
it's the worst.
Experts will tell you, oh well, don't all comedians suffer from no, yes, there is a madness in us for sure, but no, not everybody was fucking fiddled. Relax. Like some people just enjoy the crack, and we've crafted that into a profession now where we can actually have the crack professionally with people. And yes, we might be a bit fucking tapped, but like there was a class, and I kind of got roped into it with him early doors. And I remember kind of going, oh, no. I'm going to have to fucking, at least I had the maturity too. I was old enough. I'd worked in, I'd worked in jobs where I was like, oh no, ye lads are all fucked. You're fucked. Like you're here for all the wrong. And they were starting their own nights and stuff like that. It was like dark. And you're like, oh, lads, just do dark comedy. Just do it.
Yeah, but make
just
it funny.
Do it. But make it fucking funny.
Make it funny.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a guy one time going up on stage, and he was talking about having psoriasis, right?
Right.
And I'm like, please do a joke about it though. Like, if you're not doing jokes about it, you're just logging symptoms. Do you know what I mean? Like, the room full of people. Like it was the weirdest. It was so weird that he didn't do jokes about it. And there was a bit where he said, I remember him going, and the doctor says, if we up the dosage, it might actually clear up. So that's good. And I'm like,
it's kind of hilarious in a way.
I'm like, if you're doing a character and the character is a shit comedian, you're nailing this. Like,
yes.
Do you know what I mean? But it's fucking brutal. Do you know what I mean? It was so like. Even at that point, it had become too meta to be funny. You know what I mean? You're just like, it's mate, the worst.
I would normally tell people, I don't, because I know you got to jump off soon enough. I'm keeping an eye on the time here for you. You got it busy whore. You actually have a career. But I tell people normally where to follow you, but like Twitter. I mean, you're active enough on Twitter with Twanky, aren't you?
That's the only thing I have at Twanky 1986. Everything else, I'm off it.
It sounds like a piece of graffiti, doesn't it? That you'd see on an old rundown Tesco. Twanky 1986 was here.
Yeah, with a wee T between the 8 and the 6 to spell 80. You know, they used to do that, mate. They used to do that up here. They would write like, Johnny 9 T9, right? And then when it became 2000, they were still putting the T between the zeros, and you're going, well, that doesn't spell anything. OTO, that's not that. You know what I mean? But we're in a pilot of it this week to see how it works. So that should be a bit of crack.
Fucking class. That is going to be, yeah.
Do you play games, do you?
What's that?
Do you play games?
No, I have addiction issues when it comes to anything to do, and I know I would be wearing a nappy and divorced if I got back into
just to
game,
grind out a few results. Like
if I got back into game, and I would that'd be it. The wife, because I can't put it down. Like I cannot. I'd get rid of PlayStations, Xboxes, and everything. Not even before. Like realistically, I knew even before I met Natasha, and she's the same. Like there was a time, like where she had a PlayStation, and we go over to her place, and like 5 hours later, the two of us, like, you know what I mean? You're piss and sweat sitting in the couch, like, you know what I mean? How is this? But we had to make a decision. Go, these things need to go because we have like it's heroin, like absolute fucking heroin for me.
No, it is. I prefer it to TV, which is weird, but yeah, I think we'll get of a few boys from up here are gonna come on it. But like, if you ever want on, like, just bounce. Like, it'll be a bit of crack.
I'd fucking love it. Are you filming it from where you filming it from?
I'm gonna film it out in Hollywood where Shane's one is.
Oh, brilliant.
So like, if you're ever up, like, give us a shout and we'll do a wee episode. It'll be a laugh. Like,
I'd love to. Love to.
Good times, mate.
Brilliant stuff. Right. Well, I'm gonna let you fucking bounce on to, whatever highfalutin shit you're doing next, where you'll probably talk to somebody way smarter than me, that's for sure. But
I'm definitely not.
He's just look, remember that everybody's just a fucking dose until they prove themselves otherwise. So
that's it.
Ciaran, thanks a million.
No worries. Cheers for having us on. Great to see you, mate.
And my thanks again to Ciaran. Like I said, follow him, Twanky1986 on Twitter. He doesn't bother his bollocks with any of the rest of it. And I think he's fucking dead right. Fair play to him. Now, like I said, live show for the patrons this Sunday. So become a patron is literally buying your €3 ticket. It's as simple as that. We're going to have some crack. Tom and Jerry show will be out this Monday. I'll have another Ramble Pod out for the patrons next week. Till I talk to you then, have a lovely weekend. Good night, good best, thanks.